I photographed every day. I had a camera with me all the time. Well, maybe photography is that way, you know. The longer you work on it, the more likely you get good pictures.
Hello there. Before Easy Rider, Paris, Texas, and before we thought of the open road as a metaphor for self-examination, there was Robert Frank, a Swiss immigrant armed with a 1934 Leica 3 and a 50mm lens. Beginning in 1955, he set off to discover himself through an exploration of America, traveling 10,000 miles. In the 50s, the US was enjoying post-war prosperity, but beneath there was a feeling of distance between people and between the ideals that were being promoted and the reality of everyday life. It was a time when rebels like Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg were beginning to view the road as a symbol of freedom and escape.
I would live amongst them and I would be influenced by that attitude and that wish to be accepted for what they were, not to compromise. That was the word, not to compromise.
The Americans isn't just a photo book. It can also be seen as the first American road movie told in stills. His pictures of diners, gas stations, motels, and highways have the feel of a film stripped to its bones. The Americans has no plot, no beginning, no end. There are no captions and no story to resolve. Each image feels suspended, unfinished and restless. His pictures of the road are like jazz improvisation, fragments that together become an external vision of the American psyche, as well as an expression of self. Frank shifted the emphasis from photography as documentation to photography as expression. He once said, "Life to me is about movement," and the pictures within the book take the viewer along an emotional journey.
And it was wonderful to take a trip across America to see all that. I mean, that's how you learn about the country. The places that interest me are on the way, you know, you stop and then, like this picture of the accident. I think this is near Flagstaff, Arizona, somewhere. There was an accident on the road. It's a very strong picture because it's life and death. That was a good time for me, you know, when I was young and I could walk day after day and hunt for pictures, and that's how these pictures got made, you know, by walking around and waiting for a moment.
The result is not a visual essay about America, but a diary within America. Each notation made by someone who never stopped feeling slightly out of place. Even the way Frank printed his photographs, they were grainy, dark, and often off-kilter, suggesting his fluctuating emotions to what he observed and experienced. Before this book, much of American photography was guided by ideals of clarity, order, and moral purpose. The images produced for the Farm Security Administration or Life magazine mostly told coherent stories to uplift and define the nation. One just has to compare his work with Edward Steichen's 1950s compilation Family of Man to see how Frank within one decade shattered so many conventions. Steichen presented a moral theme showing that all humans, wherever they live in the world, share common humanity. It was an idealistic vision that was popular, and around 10 million people viewed that exhibition, which at that time was quite remarkable. Frank's visual language broke from the formal precision of earlier photographers like Walker Evans. He believed that truth isn't neat, and therefore neither is vision. Ambiguity and open-endedness became the new standard. In a way, Frank punctured the classical vision of what a good photograph should be. His images often included blurring and uneven exposure, and in this way his aesthetic democratized the medium. Frank changed the course of photography forever, even before the 1960s counterculture or the movement resisting the Vietnam War. Frank opened the door for later photographers like Gary Winogrand, Diane Arbus, and Lee Freelander, allowing them to use the camera as a tool for self-inquiry, not just for reportage. Frank's work wasn't cold or aloof. His empathy was quiet but distinctive.
It was just a travelogue, and it happened to be a little bit different kind of a travelogue. I think I was passionate about losers. That was maybe the political. That people that were taken advantage of, that really couldn't make it, that would never make it. Those people I felt passionate about.
His emotional honesty changed how photographers considered their intention. It legitimized a kind of emotional realism that can be seen in the work of photographers as diverse as Nan Goldin, Alex Soth, and Vivian Maier. His cross-country exploration also provided a template for the color photography pioneers of the 70s like Stephen Shaw and Joel Sternfeld. The Americans is often read as a critique of the American dream, but Frank wasn't moralizing. His America was lonely but not evil. His scenes become symbols of human isolation within a mechanized society. Frank's sense of pacing, rhythm, and framing presented a clear template for the future directors of road trip films like Wim Wenders and Dennis Hopper. One of the startling aspects of the Americans is his juxtapositions. Through his sequencing, he allows one image to impact the meaning of the next. Here, pictures of a funeral and gravesite are followed by a flag of what looks like a parade. We get transported from feelings of grief to those of patriotism. Each photograph functions like a movie scene with its own mood and sense of discord. We are being shown what it feels like to be in each of these successive locations. Frank borrowed from the Italian neo-realism filmmakers. After Mussolini's fascist government fell in 1943, filmmakers began looking for a way to tell the story of the Italian experience from a new angle. They embraced a form of unstaged, humanistic realism, and Frank shared this spirit. His Americans aren't cardboard cutouts. They are fragments of humanity caught between celebration and sorrow. After the Americans, one can trace a direct line to later films that use the idea of the open road as a metaphor. Both Easy Rider and Paris, Texas have multiple parallels with Frank's book. They translated its restless, searching gaze into storytelling with movement. In these films, one gets a sense of the road observed through an outsider's perspective, with an underlying distrust in the American dream. When Easy Rider appeared, it was immediately recognized as a generational statement. Like the Americans, it looks at the US from the edges, through the eyes of drifters, dropouts, and outsiders. The road is not so much a symbol of freedom, but a place of exile.
This used to be a hell of a good country. I don't understand what's going on with it. They're not scared of you. They scared of what you represent to them. Hey, man. All we represent to them, man, is somebody who needs a haircut. Oh, no. What you represent to them is freedom.
The film cinematographer Laszlo Kovac used natural light, handheld cameras, and spontaneous street shots in a way that echoes Frank's shot from the hip aesthetic. They both achieve the same sense of rough immediacy, of chance moments caught rather than being neatly choreographed. Easy Rider views America through the lens of alienation, and viewers watch as idealism becomes corrupted by violence. Director Dennis Hopper was significantly influenced by Robert Frank's iconic book. He particularly wanted to portray the counterculture movement from the outsider's perspective, using a raw, gritty style. He created fragmented scenes that emphasize the sense of societal alienation. At the time of the release of this film, it disturbed the American establishment because it exposed the erosion of traditional values.
Indians. How long did you boys say it was going to take you to get down there?
Oh, about 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days, that right. Oh, boy, I sure wish I was going with you.
Yeah? You got a helmet?
Oh, I've got a helmet. I got a beauty.
Hopper's own still photographs also display strong parallels with the Americans. This image, called Double Standard, is probably his best-known picture from the 1960s. He produced a large body of work mainly in California between 1961 and the time he started shooting Easy Rider in 1968. Wim Wenders' Paris, Texas probably maintains Frank's spirit more directly. Wenders was personally close to Frank and admitted that he was one of his heroes. He even made a film about him called Moving Pictures. He said that Robert Frank's images made him want to become a filmmaker. Paris, Texas feels like a meditation on the Americans made 3 decades later. Wenders admired Robert Frank's unique ability to observe and capture moments that were both uneasy and empathetic.
Hi.
Hi.
When we shot that, I thought, wow, yeah, we've made something that really touches something deep in people and something in a place they don't know yet.
Wenders, like Frank, was a European outsider trying to make sense of America. He pays attention to the same iconography as Frank: diners, motels, billboards, and open desert spaces. Wenders, in a similar manner to Frank, shows how the filmmaking process doesn't have to conform to the highest technical standards. At one stage in the film, he includes this Super 8 footage. Like Frank, Wenders resists overt emotional statements, but there's always an undercurrent that is uneasy and troubling. Wenders uses long silences, vast spaces, and small gestures to reveal tenderness and regret. The film's protagonist, Travis, has a ghostly presence that is similar to many of Frank's subjects. There is a recurring question that is being asked across The Americans, Easy Rider, and Paris, Texas. What remains of America when one strips away the myths? Frank's pictures reveal an uncompromising reality. Easy Rider asks it through rebellion and disillusionment. while Paris, Texas poses the question through silence and longing. Each of these creations can be seen not as criticisms of American life, but an invitation to engage in an inward search. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time.
I photographed every day. I had a camera with me all the time. That's a good time for a photographer, you know. You have to be young and you walk around all day long. I wanted to make a name for myself. I mean, I was aware of what you had to do to succeed. Well, you learn that. You come here and you know, you're a photographer. You're just nothing. So then you learn that you have to have your pictures published and your name next to the pictures, and you have to insist that they get your name right. But being in America is an education, you know, and then coming from a small country like Switzerland, it's even stronger. But you find Kerouac and Ginsberg and other people. I was lucky I found these people. They showed me that there's other life, you know.